Okay, we're going to call the May 17th meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Baculett? Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Smith? Mrs. Kiefer?
Here. At this time, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, we are going to need to make some changes to our agenda. We need to mark on item C under personnel. We need to take Allison Hartnett out of her 1-year teaching contract. We also need to mark her off on item J for the middle school cheer coach. We will just mark her off of those. With those changes to the meeting agenda, could I have a motion to approve that?
Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mrs. Kiefer?
Yes, motion carries. At this time, we need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on April 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Roll call.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Baculett? Mr. Murray?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kiefer?
Yes, motion carries. At this time, is there any board members with correspondence? Mr. Carroll?
Nope.
Mr. Samola?
Nope.
All right, we will move on. Mr. Samola, can you recognize our guests and visitors?
We just have a few visitors with us today. If you'd please introduce yourself.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Mr. Carroll, would you like, oh, I'm sorry. Since we have no one addressing the board today, we'll continue and Mr. Carroll will follow up with his treasury reports.
Thank you. All right, quite a few documents here this evening. The very first one you'll see is our cash reconciliation report. Following that one is a financial summary by fund report. Next one would be the disbursement summary. These are the checks that we have issued during the month of April. Following that is the cash summary. These are all of our funds and where all of our money is in each fund. And you have a general fund board graph. So these are by forecast line. The top is our revenues, bottom are our expenditures, and where they land on the 5-year forecast. So as you can see, we are trending very similar to last year. Following is the payroll and benefits broken down by each payroll compared to last year. On the left is payroll and on the right are the benefits. And again, you see where we're trending compared to last year. And the last graph is our income tax. We did receive our 4th and final income tax collection of this fiscal year. Comparing it to last year, we collected 95% of what we collected last year. So it's better than anticipated, but still lower than what we collected last year. I can move into the forecast now or wait until it's a couple more items.
Nope, I think we can move into the forecast. Do you have questions for those other report? Great.
5-year forecast. A couple of the main revenue sources that we have. You'll have a packet here of a presentation. General property, which is our real estate. We have tangible personal property, that's our public utility, income tax, and then state aid. And then what you'll see on the following charts are the bar graph. There are 3 that are gray. Those will be the last 3 fiscal years. And then the green are what I have projected for the next 5 years. When I spoke to the county auditor, it was mentioned that we will see very little increase of funding from real estate taxes over the next 5 years. So very little increase. So we have that flatlined for the next 5. On the back of that one would be our tangible personal property. These are public utility revenue. And this is the big jump that you see between fiscal year 20 and 21. That is the pipeline revenue. And there was supposed to be a big decision this month, but that has been postponed to fall-ish sometime. And the pipeline revenue is suggested a 3.5% depreciation each year. So that's why you see that gradually decrease. Next one is our income tax. And we have 3 income tax levies, all different amounts. And that is steadily decreasing due to the income tax levies falling off. State aid is a general incline. State aid right now is up in the air. It's at the Senate for a new funding model. So hopefully that will be determined soon. Revenue by source, that is just our main, where our main revenue comes from. Those are the items that I just discussed. And then moving into expenses, big personnel or big expenses are personnel, retirement benefits, and purchase services. So obviously we're in the people business, so that is our biggest expense. Below you'll see the personal services. Those are our EEA, OPSI, and board employees. And retirement and benefits, along with our purchase services. So those are our main expenses for the district. Other expenses to just keep in mind, athletics. We did have to do an advance at the beginning of the year to just make sure that that fund is positive. Food service, later in the agenda, there's some movement there, so that's exciting. And bus purchases, we are on a 15-year rotation for each bus. So in the past, we've purchased 2 buses each year. And last year, that was skipped due to COVID. So in the forecast, I have 2 buses budgeted for each year moving forward to stay on that rotation. ESSER funds. So next fiscal year, we will be receiving roughly $380,000 used for COVID expenses. And as a group, we've discussed where we might be spending those, and that's textbooks, art lab computers, salaries, athletic facility, and some other areas. And then following fiscal year 23, that's the next amount there. And also athletic facility could be a bus if we decided to do that, or that's how we spend those monies. Summer school, which is required by the state, salaries, and a few other things. So, so this is the obviously the 5-year forecast right now. It does change often. So, but as a group, this is kind of a together thing and how we move forward as a district. So, and then finally, the assumptions. I threw a couple paragraphs in of just an update to our previous forecast from November, with just a couple little updates and what to expect for the couple months to come until the next forecast in November. I can go over the actual forecast itself if you would like, or if you have questions. Okay.
Thank you.
That's good. Any questions? Okay, we will move on then to our financial section of our agenda. So we will need a motion to approve the April 2021 financial reports, the cash reconciliation, financial summary, cash summary, and disbursement summary report. We need to accept the following donations: a $100 anonymous donation to the Student Assistance Fund, $200 from Stephen Ford to the Jennifer Babcock Scholarship. We need to approve the following fiscal year 21 appropriations and modifications. We need to increase the county auditor and state tax department fees by $120,000. We need to approve the 5-year forecast to be submitted to the Ohio Department of Education by May 31st, 2021. And we need to approve the following bond and no interest payments due by June 1st. The Series 199 General Obligation Bond for $35,117.04. The Series 2002 Classroom Facilities Improvement Bond for $12,757.50. The Series 2010 House Bill 264 Energy Conservation Bond for $10,550.25.
Support.
Any questions or discussion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith, Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. This time we'll move on to the personnel agenda. We need to offer the following supplemental contracts for the 2020 to 21 school year pending completion of all pupil activity permit requirements for the completion of any and all certifications and or licensure requirements. Peyton Palachuk, track assistant coach. Aaron Schmidt, track assistant coach. Katie Pierce, department head for special education. We need to approve staff for summer school instruction and summer preschool screenings. Elementary will be Kelly Carmine, Sarah Frankenfield, Diane Pickering, Nicole Ziegler, Sherry Call, Allison Hartnett, Ellie Willitzer, Amber Hansel as a sub, Amber Doble, Shannon Liu, Tori Wright, and Alex Finch as a sub. Middle school have Heather Christensen, Jessica Root, Steve Marks, and Matt Seifert. 1-year teaching contracts need to be approved for Shane Bergman, Christy Hennessy, Natalie Miller, Diane Pickering, Danielle Urbanski, Tori Wright, Heather Christensen, Jillian Herdenreiter, Adrian Meyer, Jessica Root, Hannah Vaughn, Sharon Lipinski, Abby Pennington, Luke Rosen, and Elizabeth Willitzer. 2-year teaching contracts for Danette Setmeyer. 3-year teaching contracts for Doug DeSlover, Nelson Holliday, Sarah Frankenfield, Andrew Langendeffer, Andrea Hessen, Nicole Ziegler. 1-year limited contracts for district employees. Megan Anstud, District Attendance, Student Outreach Officer. Betty Bieber, Assistant Treasurer. Jennifer Conrad, Director of Communications. We need to approve continuing contract for classified employees. Jennifer Burkhart, Secretary. Sheila Natter, Custodian. And Ashley Ricker, Bus Driver. We need to approve a 2-year administrative contract for Derek Stoop, Athletic Director. A 3-year administrative contract for Brady Roofer, Middle School Principal. Christy Schmidlin, Special Education Coordinator. Dolores Swineford, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum Coordinator. We also need to approve supplemental contracts and volunteers for 21, 22. Oh my, okay. Megan Kronvik, cheer head coach. Morgan Miller, cheer volunteer. John Wudarski, cross country head coach. Steve McDowell, cross country assistant. Jessica Minard, cross country middle school coach. Aaron Schmidt, football head coach. Tyler Kleberger, football varsity assistant. Joseph Okus, football varsity assistant. Peyton Palachuk, football varsity assistant. Brett Simon, football varsity assistant. Ben Taylor, football varsity assistant. Robert Brewster, football middle school. Dalton Nicely, football middle school. Will Smithmeyer, football middle school. Lance Eisel, football middle school volunteer. Lucas Burkholder, golf, girls head coach. Clint Barnes, golf, boys head coach. Joshua Radel, soccer, girls head coach. Jacob Ott, soccer girls varsity assistant. Dave Skowzen, soccer boys head coach. Abby Mock, soccer boys varsity assistant. Nicole Thanasu, volleyball head coach. Troy Zabawa, volleyball JV coach. Haley Nowak, volleyball freshman coach. Kelsey Ford, volleyball middle school coach. Jackie Mossing, volleyball middle school coach. Brittany Sabolin, basketball girls head coach. Jerry Kiefer, basketball boys head coach. DJ Schuster, bowling head coach. Dalton Nicely, wrestling head coach. Joe Blystone for weight room supervisor. Aaron Schmidt, weight room supervisor. Dawn Spradlin, assistant athletic director. Darcy Feedback, ticket manager. We need to approve district supplemental contracts. Gloria Baker, DAR payment for OPSI agreement. Jane Draheim, district mentor coordinator. Chris Beck, wellness coordinator. Laura Johnson, LPDC chairperson. Amanda Brame, REP mentor. Andrea Hessen, REP manager. Jonathan Torrance, elementary choir. Sharon Lipinski, elementary intervention team. Laura Johnson, Elementary Intervention Team. Jackie Mossing, Elementary Intervention Team. Diane Pickering, Elementary Intervention Team. Carrie Klein, Middle School Student Council. Kelsey Wolf, Middle School Student Council. Jenny Burkholder, Middle School NJHS. Melanie Yoder, Middle School NJHS. Deborah Bard, Middle School Yearbook. Jenny Burkholder, Lori Cobb, Heather Christensen, Jacob Dawson, and Kelsey Wolf, along with Abby Pennington, are all grade 6 camp. Carrie Klein, Kelsey Wolf are both middle school intervention team, along with Steve Marks, Jennifer Burkholder, and Matt Seifert. Matt Seifert for middle school quiz bowl. Amanda Brame for head teacher. Danette Setmeyer for art club. Robert Stearman, band assistant director. Chris Lyons, band director. Chris Lyons, band prep and pep and marching. Mary Desmond, class advisor, grade 11. Mary Desmond, department head ELA. Pat Adamski, department head math. Ken Diamond, department head science. Bill Blanchong, department head social studies. Katie Pierce, department head SPED. Bill Blanchong, high school academic challenge bowl, quiz bowl. Danette Setmeyer, high school yearbook. Luke Rosen, music director vocal. Luke Rosen, musical production drama club. Melanie Yoder, musical production assistant. Doug DeSlover, National Honor Society. Katie Pierce, prom advisor. Christy Hennessy, student council. Megan Amsut, student council, and Brittany Sabolin, head teacher. We also need to approve additional or extended days for Sharon Lipinski of 5 days for the elementary guidance, Amanda Brame, middle school guidance for 10 days, Adrian Meyer, high school guidance for 15 days, and Sue Hannafin, vocational ed for 25 days. We need to approve classified and certified substitute lists for the 2020-21 school year, as well as approve, is that the same list? Oh, that's classified, I'm sorry. Approve a substitute list, all recommended by Eric Samola, superintendent, to approve the preceding personnel items.
Support.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes. All right, at this time we'll move on to other. We need to approve Jason Miller as a volunteer varsity assistant football coach for the 21-22, pending the completion of pupil activity permit requirements.
So moved. Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Abstain.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. All right, we need to approve the granting of high school graduation diplomas to the members of the class of 2021 on May 23rd, pending their successful completion of all graduation requirements as determined by the high school principal.
So moved. Support.
Discussion. All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. We need to authorize the membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the Evergreen High School and Evergreen Middle School for the 2021-2022 school year. The board agrees to conduct their athletic programs in accordance with the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, and interpretations and decisions of the OHSAA.
So moved. Support.
Questions or discussion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. We need a motion to contract with the Fulton County Health Department to provide school nurse services for Evergreen local schools for the 21-22 school year at an annual cost of $17,853, payable by December 31st of 2020. The cost for last year's school year was $13,505.
So moved. Support.
Questions or discussion?
Last year it had actually gone down. It was about the projected cost for next year, the year before, and we didn't know why it dropped last year, but it's back up. So
Thank you.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. This time we need a motion to authorize the superintendent and treasurer to accept the lowest best bid for the high school locker room renovation and expansion project from Midwest Contracting, 1428 Albin Road, Holland, Ohio, 43528.
So moved. Support.
I have a few questions. The bleacher seating, what does that?
It is retractable seating in the film room that'll allow it to be pulled back so that room can be utilized for phys ed classes, banquets, and as well as for instruction for health classes.
Okay, so it'll be used as an additional classroom, but also can be used as viewing for football teams or any other team that wants to. Okay.
Correct.
And then gym RTUs. What is RTUs?
Rooftop units, it is
Okay.
new heating, HVAC
Okay, so
for
those
that
are
area.
okay. And then the additional HVAC controls, is that what?
The panel to connect to it
Okay,
and
so
regulate.
that's not what Brent uses his wireless.
It would be a new panel that he could hook into,
Oh.
so he would still be able to do it remotely. It would talk to the rest of the building.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion?
And with the rooftop, Eric, I know we brought this up before, but this will fix the leaking in the gym that we've had problems with. Because
Correct.
We've tried to fix it in the past, but this is the
The old one will come out, the new one will go in and get resealed, so it should fix that problem, yes.
Anything else with the scoreboards or wireless or anything like that? Is there any?
The scoreboards are not part of this
That's being
project at
looked
this
at
time.
separate.
So that's something we're looking at and potentially seeking a sponsor that would want to replace the scoreboards for us. Most schools will contract with Coke or Pepsi, and we're not contracted with either one at this time. So something we're looking into.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. At this time, Mr. Smollow, would you like to continue with discussion and information?
I have two items, just information-wise, to give you an update on. First one being the food service program. We had 4 companies submit proposals to our food service RFP. We invited 2 of the companies in for formal presentations to our committee. At this time, we are in the process of checking references and gathering additional financial information from these 2 providers, as both have guaranteed a financial break even in year 1. We're looking at their projections for year 2 and 3. We are evaluating which provider would be the best fit for the district. We hope to have our review process completed by the end of the week, and we will potentially seek board approval at the June meeting. So we are headed up to visit one of the schools this week on Thursday to see one of the company's operation in action. We've already seen the other one. So any questions on the food service?
So with that, our facilities are adequate for them to do this. Right? There's no
Our-
additional.
They would
have to
bring in
take
maybe
on.
a serving cart or
They
2,
would
but that
bring
was
it.
part of their
Okay.
proposal of what they would bring. One company was going to bring in carts to grow vegetables that could be then used in the cafeteria. But there's no major purchases of equipment that we would need, and staffing levels would remain the same.
Who's going to on the tour of the facilities?
For Thursday, Brian, Dolores, Sharon from the elementary, the head cook, and myself going up to Jackson, Michigan.
Okay. Any further questions?
Next item, looking ahead to the next school year, we are again planning for in-person instruction. We will continue to keep COVID cleaning protocols in place. As of now, the CDC is recommending but not mandating masks for students. We'll monitor state and local health guidelines and protocols for the start of the school year in August, just not knowing what will change between now and then. But good news is we're planning to be back, and we'll see what the recommendation is for masks and make a decision closer to the start of the school year. But we will keep the community informed of our plans for opening the year. But it was great being in person, and we want to do that again next school year. Any questions on startup for next year as we wrap up this year?
Should be easier. Hopefully.
It should. One more thing related to next year, district administration has adopted the theme, Building the Foundation for Student Excellence for next school year. This theme ties directly to our mission statement, and each building will adopt their own related theme for the year that'll focus our activities and how we move forward. Those were the 2 information items. The discussion item we have on the agenda at the meeting last month, Mr. Schmidt raised a concern about the drug testing policy and HIPAA concerns with our testing provider, Great Lakes Biomedical. the board wanted the opportunity to continue that conversation, so I added it to the agenda so we can continue to look at the policy and if we want to make any changes or do research going forward.
Okay. Do you have potentially those questions that you formulated with you or no?
I do.
Okay, awesome. Um, do you guys want to just kind of run through those and kind of have the discussion off those questions that they kind of sent us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So administratively, we met looking at, how do we evaluate this policy? And the question is, we started with is what is the purpose of drug testing in schools? Well, the purpose is to deter negative behaviors and to encourage students to make healthy decisions. So we're asking then, do we believe our current drug testing policy, is it deterring behavior? Is it effective? Um, I don't know if I have a direct answer to that. I think there are some mixed reviews. We did have 8 positive tests this year out of the pool that was tested. Um, did it deter people from doing it's very hard to say. Did it deter people from participating in athletics? That one's another one that is hard to say. So it's more of a philosophical how do we look at this going forward because we don't have concrete answers to some of the questions. So again, is it deterring behavior? Um, if it is effective, then the board should be looking at, do we need to expand this to all extracurricular, all activities connected with the school? If we do not believe it is effective, then do we keep the policy going forward? Want me to keep rolling through the questions, or is this a time for a conversation?
I think it's at least somewhat effective. I'm not sure it's as effective as we'd like it to be, but I think it is a deterrent of some sort. And I think that some of our high school athletes at least second guess their behavior uh, in order to make sure they can participate in athletics. Again, I don't think it's 100% effective, but I think it has an effect.
I agree.
I think you hit on something that is somewhat concerning is this isn't being applied across the board. I mean, we're not asking band members before they march to, submit to a random test. Yet football players are subject to it, or basketball, or whatever sport you want. I think, from my perspective, if we're going to do it for some extracurriculars, I don't know why we wouldn't do it for all extracurriculars. I guess either we're going to do it or we're not. I thought that was a good point. So.
I think I was not on the board when they started the drug testing. However, we had had discussions about it, and they looked at moving forward, testing anybody with, they said, privileges. So even if you drove to school, they wanted to test you. I don't know that I agree with that extent. Um, I agree with the athletics because these kids are going out on that field and they are representing our school. Um, I some of it, the same with band. I know that's something we've talked about, but if we reach out, is that every kid that's in foreign language club? Is that every kid? I mean, are we going to test the whole school every time? I mean, because that's what you're going to look at. If you're going to add all those things, every child's going to be in something.
Well, and I think we want to encourage participation, right? And, I think we have at least some members of the district, obviously, gentleman who spoke last meeting, who have serious concerns, whether they're about HIPAA or, I mean, whatever the
Mhm.
base of them were, they have privacy concerns. Obviously, as an attorney, when somebody says random drug testing, it always kind of gets my
Mhm.
hackles up because of privacy issues, even with kids.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, I mean, if we're going to say privileges, right, then anybody who's in anything would be applicable.
Exactly.
And to me, I mean, is the juice worth the squeeze in terms of what we're getting? So we got 8 positive tests over the last year. We don't know how effective it is. To me, it seems like the drug testing program sort of exists to sort of fulfill itself, I guess. And so I don't really see a whole lot of benefit to it personally. I think I have concerns about privacy as well, but it's the policy that's in place with the board. From my view, I'd as soon just do away with it the whole way. because obviously players and other individuals are going to be subject to individualized discipline if they step out of line or if they look like they're not behaving in a way that's appropriate. I think there's other ways to get there that might be easier than a drug testing system.
But how do we give? Okay, I don't agree with you.
I'm not comfortable with dropping. the
No, I'm
program
not comfortable with
altogether.
dropping it either. I am very much understanding where Mr. Schmidt's coming from because I assumed being a medical facility that our lab would have HIPAA. That was an assumption I had that was wrong by me. I assumed medical facilities had to hold HIPAA rules. He says they don't. Okay, I understand that. I feel like we don't do away with the whole thing. I don't know that I'm comfortable with pulling everybody else in either. We have an established rule. What I'm comfortable with is saying, this is the rule. We have a concern with HIPAA. Okay, my child's pulled. I say, okay, I don't want her to be tested with Great Lake Biomedical, but I have that right to take my child to my doctor. Okay, so if you're going to take that privilege of taking your child out, we need to do something to hinder everybody from taking that privilege. Maybe we make that window instead of 24 hours, it's by the end of that day. I mean, if you know your child's pulled at 8 a.m. from school to take that test, you can call your doctor. You can get that note in a matter of 2 hours. After school's over, you go and get that drug test. It needs to be done that day, not the 24-hour period, because we know there's things out there that can reverse things and change things. I'm comfortable with saying that if we give them that advantage to ask their family physician to be part of it, we need to shrink that window and make it so that it still works. But I'm not comfortable with doing away with the whole rule. I, at this time, did not even think about adding everybody. This is an established rule that all of our athletes go through. They sign that in their athletic handbook when they start their sports, parents and students. I think giving them that privilege and advantage to go to a family doctor, I'm comfortable with that. But like I said, I think we need to look at that time frame that I'm called, my daughter was pulled, 8 a.m. Nope. I'm on the phone with my doctor. I'm getting that note, and I need to have that test done before 8 a.m. that night.
I mean, the problem that I have with that though is twofold. One, you allow somebody to go to their primary care, their family doctor. That creates an issue where there's an economic disparity. If somebody's on Medicaid, they're not going to get an appointment with their doctor. Okay. I mean, that's the reality of the medical system we're at, is that some people may have access to health care that can turn that around, other people wouldn't. So if you're going to do it, there's no HIPAA concern because they're not providing medical treatment. I mean, they're doing a drug test. It's simply for that purpose. If I slam my finger in the door at work, I go to OcuHealth, I have to drop. I don't get to go to my family doctor and then go back later.
At
That's
least
just-
part of the privacy concern was, though, that they get pulled from class. They go down to the gymnasium with the rest of the students who were pulled from class. And if they were allowed to go to a family physician, it would eliminate that concern.
And that's maybe something that when they get their athletic handbook, we say, nope, the Kiefer kids, you call mom, she makes sure that they go to family doctor. It can be something that's done prior. So if my kids' names come up, Mr. Curtis calls me, and then I go and take care of it that day. It's not even something that my kids have to be pulled out of. I think it's doable. I think we need to definitely talk through what that looks like, though. But that's where I am with it. I don't know where you guys are.
I certainly don't like the idea of dropping it altogether. Number one, because the motives could be multiple of doing that. I mean, I'm not sure how many other schools in the NWOAL have testing.
Do we know?
I'm
do we
sure
know
that
that?
I don't know offhand.
I'm 90% sure that they all do not, and I'm not sure how effective the ones who do have it. I'm not sure how effective their programs are, but that's really neither here nor there. I like I would like our program to be as effective as possible.
I think 8 kids is effective to me.
Well,
You're not going to get.
the 8 kids also does not include how many kids you have influence to make proper decisions while they're in season to make sure that they don't test
And that's what I
positive.
mean. When they're in season, they're not going to take. They're not
That's-
going to do those activities.
That's a number we can't get our hands on. We're not sure. I
Exactly.
mean, that's part of the effectiveness of the program is discouraging bad behavior. And we won't be able to put But I do think to some extent it does discourage. I can tell you for sure, to some extent, it discourages bad behavior. I'm not sure what that extent is, uh, but if it's a couple students, maybe it's worth it. Uh, if it's 50 students, maybe it's worth it. I'm not sure, where that is, but it is effective to some extent. And quite honestly, I'm okay with that.
And if we were to get away with, if we were to go away with this, what, say a coach does have questions regarding a player, what are the coach's rights then? What can he do? You're kind of tying his hands. So I don't think we get rid of the whole program. I think it's something we need to.
I think we need to sure look at some extra possibility.
Mhm.
But and maybe you open up Pandora's box. Okay, we're testing everybody all the time, and I'm not comfortable with that either.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So
Can, go ahead.
go ahead.
Can we get, maybe Derek knows, what schools in the NWAL are testing, or our local area? Um,
I can definitely get that, and I can get their policies and see if theirs are written differently than ours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will bring more information back to the next meeting, get to you in advance, so we can continue the conversation.
and yeah, I was gonna say, see if it does include all or just sports. If you get that.
There are
policy.
districts that just do athletics and others that test everyone. So, but I don't know, like within our league and area, what each is doing. So I will find that out.
So I guess it's really two questions, right? One, the privacy. Is it even feasible to do it within the same day, like Nora requested? I don't know medically if that's even possible, or do we allow 24 hours? I'm open to looking into that. I think if, like Nora said, we could check that box in the beginning of the season when they do the presentations, and then obviously the parent has an hour of notification before the child is tested or something like those lines. But
Privacy, but it's
right,
want to have possible
Yep.
at the same time protecting people's rights.
Yep. So that gives them the option if they're not be able to be reachable, at least gives them a window of time until they can get back. Otherwise, the drug test happens. And I guess my guess, the one thing that really somebody said was that we drug test them because they represent the school. So it's not just athletes that represent the school. So I really want us all to think very hard about that, because we're picking out a group that represents the school, but there's a lot of other kids that do as well. And like I said, I'm open to more discussion on it. I want to hear more. I don't think we have the facts to make the decision, but it's interesting that it's either all or at least a bigger group than what I think we do now.
Is there any other information you want for next, other than local, other schools? Anything else you guys think about? No?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Not right now. I'm sure I'll think of something in a week or two, but right now I can't think of a darn thing.
Okay, we'll move on. Ms. Straheim.
Good evening. Is this on? All right, it's the final countdown. We have just a few days of school left, and we have lots of things going on at the elementary school. We did have several weeks ago Staff and Teacher Appreciation Week, and our MVP, our mini Viking parents, went all out converting our workroom into the central perk from the Friends TV show, and they just went all out with edibles and coffee. They provided a water bottle, personalized water bottle for every staff member. And they had donations from all of our parents so that all 73 staff members and teachers received a gift through a reverse raffle. So it was a lot of fun. I also purchased massage, 15-minute massages from Naughty by Nature from the principal account. So we really pampered our teachers and staff for doing an outstanding job during this crazy COVID school year. We had Right to Read Week last week with lots of fun activities, Hat Day, Wacky Hair Day, and pajama day, twin and triplet day. We had an event every day that was planned by the grade level teams with hourly animal trivia, scavenger hunts, guest readers that some of our board members participated in that. And the Evergreen Community Library explained to the students about the summer reading program. We had some special guests. Dolores Swineford and Eric Smola were very good sports in participating in Kissing of the Pig. For all the students that read and met their reading goal, on Friday afternoon, they both kissed a pig. So that was the kids were extremely excited about that. It was a lot of fun, and it was. Thank you for being good sports. I'd like to recognize our Right to Read Week committee of Nicole Ziegler, Molly Utzi, Abby Kunkel, Andrea Hessen, and every grade level team that helped plan a very fun educational week for our students. It just made things lively toward the end of the school year. On Friday, we have Field Day coming up. It's an all day event. And again, our school climate committee, Nicole Ziegler, Molly Utzi, Abby Kunkel, Andrea Hessen. They have really gone all out planning the events. We have lots of parent volunteers that are going to be coming in to run each station. Students can sign up for a free lunch, which will be a ham sandwich, apple slices, carrots, and dip, milk, and goldfish crackers. So any parent can sign their child up for that, or they can pack their lunch for the day. The second graders had Ag Fest from our Evergreen High School students. They came down on May 13th. They had animals, farm equipment, and they told the students about different careers that they could participate in the agricultural field. That was a very fun event as well. We are finishing up our science air assessments for a few students. I believe that will take place tomorrow. And our NWEA MAP testing for K-5 students, that will also be finishing up for some students that were absent or quarantined during those assessments. Our fifth graders are getting ready to move on to the middle school. They had a tour on May 14th of the middle school. They also will have a field trip to Greenfield Village that our MVP parents have paid $10 for each student as part of their admission as a final send off to our fifth graders and all of the things that their parents have contributed to our school during fundraising and things. It's a nice gesture on MVP's part to pay for part of the Greenfield Village field trip. May 27th, the fifth grade team is putting together a slideshow for our students, and they're going to have a private assembly in the cafetorium. Unfortunately, we cannot provide accommodations for all of our parents to participate, uh, but the students will be coming home with awards and different things that they're going to be presented with during this special assembly. And then finally, on May 27th, it's our final wave for our fifth graders. It's a tradition at the elementary school that we send off our students, our fifth graders, all of our students line the hallways with the teachers and staff members, giving them the final wave. Parents are welcome to participate in snapping pictures of their child as they exit door 3, and they need to be in place and ready to go. So our students will be walking out the door at 1:40 p.m. We dismissed 1 hour early on May 27th. All of this information is also, it was sent out in the May newsletter to parents. So hopefully they will read that information and participate if they are able. Preschool and kindergarten students will have their last day of school on May 21st. And then the following week, our incoming kindergarten students will be brought to school by their parents to have their assigned appointment for kindergarten screening. Our summer reading program is all set to go. Invitations were sent out to parents, and Dolores Swineford and Diane Pickering are heading up the summer reading program. And you saw the teachers that are going to be participating as instructors for that coming up this summer. Our yearbooks have arrived and they, I believe, went home today. For anyone that purchased a yearbook, we do have a few extra. I wanted to let everyone know that we did have a memorial page for Adrian Wirtz and that his family will be receiving a yearbook as a keepsake. Meet the teacher letters will be going out in the month of August. We are still finalizing our class lists. I know people are anxious to know who their teacher will be for next year, but then that'll be really exciting for them to receive that in the mail in August. The Hickerson family was, devastated fire that went through their home, and MVP has donated to the family as well as the elementary school provided clothing and a backpack and school supplies because Chad returned to in-person learning for the remainder of this school year. So on behalf of the staff and teachers, I'd like to thank the board for your support during this challenging school year. And that's all I have at this time. Did you have any questions?
I'd just like to say thank you between Mr. Curtis, who isn't here, and you, to have the seniors go down and walk through the elementary. They really, really enjoyed it. So thank you.
That was amazing. I played Pomp and Circumstance over the PA when they walked through. I'm telling you what, I was tearing up.
They really, really enjoyed it.
It was
So
very emotional. It was so cool to see, especially our fifth graders. We're very impressed with um, the high school students, the seniors walking through. So that was the first time ever we've been able to accomplish that, and I hope that it remains a tradition.
is that the first time?
Yes, as far as I'm aware.
For
Yep.
some reason, Colin said he remembered it when he was there. But we're talking a few years ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, but it was nice.
Yeah,
So
it
thank
was
you.
very nice when they had their caps and gowns
Mhm.
on. So yes, that was a very cool event for all of our students and the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Roofer.
Good evening. All right, we're also wrapping up the year at the middle school. Big celebration. State testing is completed. We finished our last makeup test on Friday. I want to thank Amanda Brame. She does an amazing job. She's the school counselor, setting all those up, organizing everything. It's a big task. On May 4th through the 7th, our 6th and 7th graders got to go to Camp Palmer. I went out there for a few hours during that time, and it was pretty amazing to see. Not many schools do that, so that's a neat tradition here at Evergreen, and looking forward to maybe the years to come where they get to stay overnight. On May 18th, we are inducting 19 new students into National Junior Honor Society. That's actually tomorrow, and we're excited to have the full-blown induction ceremony in the gym. So that's exciting for those students. I've listed their names there. Um, on May 11th, we just kind of to celebrate the end of testing. That was on Friday. We had a dodgeball tournament between our row groups. We have 3 remaining teams left. The winners of those 3 will get a chance to play the middle school staff on Friday. We also had the virtual talent show. There was a video put together by Mr. Rosen and Mrs. Christensen. It was pretty impressive. We had kids piano, artwork. There were some drawing skills. There were some lip syncs, our choir groups. So that was neat to see. Hoping we can build on that, making it a tradition. And we also had our band and choir concerts, so a little bit of normalcy there, having them. And we also have another opportunity for Mr. Smola to have some fun. On May 21st, we're hosting a teacher torture event. It's a fundraiser that NJHS is putting on, so the staff member with the most money may have to perform a task, whether it's a human Sunday, a TikTok dance, water balloon fight. Because right now, I believe Mr. Smola is in the front. If not, I encourage everybody to find his jar and place his money in that. That concludes the report for the middle school. I do have just a couple housekeeping items. On May 24th, all middle school students will turn in Chromebooks, and on May 26th, our VBA students will be turning in their Chromebooks, and grade cards will be mailed home the first week in June. That is it, unless there are questions.
Class schedules for next year.
Those will go out as normal in August.
August. Okay.
We are just actually finished building the schedule this week, or Mrs. Brame has, and she'll finish those up in June and August. They'll go out.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want me to skip?
I have a couple items for Mr. Curtis that he
Okay.
wanted to make sure that I mentioned for the high school report.
Okay.
Evergreen's high school commencement ceremony will occur on May 23rd in the high school gymnasium at 2 p.m. The ceremony will be a free ticketed event utilizing our hometown ticketing online box office. Families will need to get a code to obtain a ticket. Each student's individualized code will be their 5 or 6 digit student ID number. Graduates will be permitted to invite up to 6 friends or family members to ensure a 25% capacity limit as defined by the most recent health order. Tickets will be available to families through May 20th. Any tickets that have gone unclaimed will be made available to the public on May 21st. Mr. Curtis also wanted to thank our prom and junior class advisors, Katie Pierce and Mary Desmond. Evergreen has successfully concluded spring prom and after prom festivities. Approximately 200 students attended prom at Holland Gardens on May 1st, and 150 students attended after prom festivities at the high school. Rosie Boger helped lead and organize a parent group tasked with organizing and funding prom activities, after prom activities. Customarily, the junior class parents organize and lead fundraising initiatives beginning early on in the school year to prepare and fundraise for after prom in the late spring. As a result of the uncertainty of COVID, junior parents were unable to organize until mid-January, while not one penny was raised for after prom before March 1st. Thanks to the outpouring of support from our community, the parent group was able to raise approximately $28,000. I think that's $2,800 for the junior class to pay more than pay for after prom for our students. Special thanks to Rosie Boger, Lori Hine, Mindy Valentine, Stacy Riggs, Holly and Chris Tobin, Katie and Lance Eisel, Aaron and Corey Scheller, Faye and Chad Richardson, Denise Pennington, Kathy Lumbreezer, Anna Woodring, and Liza Gleckler for all of their hard work making this event such a success. The after prom event itself drew approximately 50 parent volunteers to assist with making sure the night was fun, safe, and successful. So thanks to everyone who helped out with the prom and after prom.
Awesome. Thank you. Ms. Midland.
Hello, everybody. As far as preparing for next year, our preschool program, the first round typical peer positions have been offered to 26 children. 13 have been confirmed, and we have a deadline for the first round on May 21st, so this Friday. At that time, second round positions will be offered to families who are on a wait list. Currently, we have 23 additional children on a wait list. We'll also be holding a play-based screening assessment for those that were not able to make it to our annual early childhood screening. We'll be holding that on Monday, May 24th. The purpose of this is to meet the requirement for child find that requires us to identify, locate, and evaluate children that may have disabilities. If there are any children that you know of that or families that may be interested in preschool and have not had the opportunity to screen, they can definitely give us a call to get signed up for Monday. In preparation for next school year, as far as special education services, we're in the process of organizing services for students and the rosters for our intervention specialists. We're always looking to improve our program. One area that we have found that we could improve on is availability of our resource room, which will provide some small group instruction, reteaching opportunities, and accommodations to students. We are looking at the elementary schedule and how we can build time in daily for each intervention specialist to increase their time for resource room support. And the high school as well has a new course called Transitional Studies, which will allow for our intervention specialists to work daily with their students that have special education services. They'll also work on other requirements towards graduation and helping with coursework. So hopefully that will help our students be successful. Also, due to COVID restrictions, we were not able to be out in the community for our preschool students and our students with moderate to intensive needs. So hopefully next year we'll be able to get some more community-based instruction going again. Anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Simola.
Yes, I would like to congratulate 2 of our high school students for winning the NACD Conservation Poster Contest for Fulton County in the 9th through 12th grade category. Anya Doherty received first place in the contest, and Samantha Miller received second place. Anya will advance to the state contest, so I'd like to congratulate both of them. Since our last meeting, there haven't been any developments with NWOAL league changes. We continue to monitor for any potential changes in the league so the district can be in a proactive position if needed. At this time, no league changes are being proposed by the administration. There's still rumors floating around out there about the league, but nothing concrete, so we are just monitoring where things are at. Any questions on that? I know that's been a hot topic. As we get close to the end of the school year, I want to thank all of our teachers and staff. They did an amazing job of navigating through this difficult school year and always putting our students first. At the beginning of the year, I thought the odds were against us being able to stay in person for the whole year. However, our students, teachers, and staff did everything required for us to complete the school year in person. So thank you to everybody in the district. Everybody went above and beyond this year, kept us in person, and that's what we truly believe is best and has the greatest impact for our kids. So thanks to everybody for everything that they did.
Is there any board members with questions or concerns? I have a question. It was on the financials that ESR money. We had athletic facilities on there twice under both. Is that to cover the project we're doing, or is that a savings for a future project? What is that?
So those funds, there's 2 grants.
Mhm.
So the first one we allocated a small portion that will go help pay for the athletics facility, and then the second grant, there's a larger portion, but will help pay for that project.
Okay, so it has to be okay because you weren't here. But before all of COVID, another thing that came out of our um, surveys that we did to the public and everything else was Arts and Media Center, and it was something we were definitely looking at. And so when I saw that on the price, I was just, if there's something that's something we want to start saving and looking for. So just to have on your radar.
Okay.
We had once COVID came, kind of the brakes were definitely hit on that as well. So just want to make sure that we're not overlooking that because if you attend any of our arts here, they're phenomenal. So they definitely deserve a facility.
Absolutely.
Any further questions, concerns? All right. So I need a motion for the members of the Evergreen Local Board of Education, superintendent, treasurer, and invited guests to go into executive session for the following reasons: to prepare for negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees concerning compensation and other terms and conditions of employment.
So move.
Roll call.
Mr. Murray, Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. There'll be no action after this executive session, so everyone's free to go. Anybody that had paperwork for Mr. Blanchong, you can give to Mr. Samola tonight.